What is the best video game I have ever played? A 1,000-year-old question that seems to have plagued every single video gamer and video game enthusiast throughout the history of video games. Nay, it even dates back before video games were turned into this monstrous monolith that have been poured into with knowledge, experience, technology, drive, and most importantly, want. Which seems to be the most important of all, its development when it comes to video games. The word want. What do I want in a video game? What would make this video game awesome so people would want to play it? Do you see the connection of this word to video games? Well, today in this video, I want to invite you so I can finally answer this question that has plagued me year after year after year. Every time a brand new video game comes out, I always end up asking the question, what is the best video game I have ever played? Could this game be the best game I've ever played? Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ace, and welcome to Fit to Play Games. As far as I can remember, every time I try to narrow down my list of favorite video games, whether it's for a top 10 video game list type of video or a challenge from my fellow video games compatriots here on YouTube, I always find myself seemingly gravitating towards video games that I've already mentioned in a past video. And to be frank, I feel as if I'm starting to sound like a broken record, and you probably don't want to listen to my music anymore. I really wanted to dissect the information out of me on why I choose the game I choose, or what makes a certain genre so appealing to me that it seems to have been my go-to video games all the time. What's great about video games is that they evolved. What I have discovered about me in the past is that I gravitated a lot on wonderful story-driven games that really have deeper roots. Now, I will only mention the Suikoden series here once because these are tried and true classical games that I played more than once. I have found that games that have a lot of relation towards their main predecessor that contain lots of information and connection from the original title is what makes me interested in the game. However, in this modern era of video games, the term RPG or role-playing games have now evolved. Did you guys know that RPG originated from the tabletop game called Dungeons and Dragons? Yes, before all the Elder Scrolls and high-definition gaming that we know today, it was only on paper, listed only by skill and by a roll of a die. But I digress. I want to talk about how RPG has evolved. The term RPG was solely based off turn-based style battle, which we have gotten accustomed to by playing games such as the Final Fantasy franchise. This is where it gets fun. My genre of choice has always been RPG. Being so used to playing pixelated sprites and getting my character as strong as possible has always been the main goal anytime I would play an RPG. However, RPG has evolved. Genre has spread its wings and has split into different types of genres of its own, yet still retaining the genre after evolving. Yeah, definitely RPG has evolved, and I'm gonna give you guys 3 different examples of genres of RPGs that stems out from the original RPG, which is a single battle based type of video game. One would be the single player RPGs. It's an evolution of RPG. Games such as Elder Scrolls, Skyrim would be one of the best examples that best describes these types of games. A game that allows for character creation and customization as well as skill specialty is what this RPG offers. Another one would be sandbox RPG. This is a genre that is quite popular in these modern days of gaming. For example, Grand Theft Auto 5 would be the best example that best describes this genre of RPG. A type of game that allows the player to be able to explore and pretty much do everything in the game's map, which features a huge number of areas that is available to the player to explore. Now, the third example would be tactical RPG. Now, more recently, I have developed a love for this type of RPG. Yes, I had played the Final Fantasy Tactics on its heyday on the PlayStation 1, but that was all I had played during those times, not knowing that there were more out there. And I wish I have explored it more back in the day, but better late than never. Now, one of the best examples of this genre would be a game that I have gotten into recently, which is the Fire Emblem series. Now, a lot of you may disagree about my example, but this is my preference in terms of tactical RPG genre. Some of you might choose Final Fantasy Tactics or Tactics Ogre, or even the new Diofield Chronicles, which is more of a newer title that is also similar to the Final Fantasy Tactics. But for me, it is the Fire Emblem. This best describes the tactical RPG genre due to the amount of character buildup, and not only for a single player or a single character, but sometimes a dozen of different characters that you can take to be used in different missions, including different skills as well as different specialties you choose for the strategy that you want to lay out for a certain mission. Now that I've already discussed 3 different RPG genres, I thoroughly enjoyed playing some of these fantastic genres and some of the awesome titles that they offer. However, the question still remains, which is the best video game I've ever played? Somehow I was able to find out a lot of things about myself as I went through the games I enjoyed playing throughout the years. I know the RPG is always going to be my preferred genre of choice. It's funny to think about because my journey began with fighting games. I remember very clearly when I was about 7 or 8, I went over to my cousin's place back in the Philippines, which is the main city of Manila. You can compare it to the New York City of the Philippines, which a lot of people really live. And at that time, my dad sent over money for our family through my aunt, and we would go over there and pretty much get our allowance with my mother. That is where it started. My cousin's parents were working overseas, whether it be China or Japan, and it just so happens that my cousins, due to the absence of their parents, were being taken care of by my aunt and was always showered with different toys and, of course, video game consoles. Street Fighter was the very first game I have ever played on the Famicom at my cousin's house. As my mom and my aunt chatted away, my brother and I got invited to play with my cousins for a bit to burn some time, since my mom and my aunt were catching up. And this is where my journey began. The different movement inputs to deliver a Hadouken or Tatsumaki Gonkyaku from Ryu has finally began, and the awakening of the godly ace gamer also began. Several years later, I would find myself finally migrating to the US to be with our dad and make our family whole. This is where I met my best friend Kenneth, and he is the instrument that was used to introduce me to the 3D fighting games, mainly the Tekken series, as well as the Virtual Fighters. However, I will be forever grateful to Ken for introducing me to Final Fantasy VIII. This is where my RPG adoration began. Somehow, I was able to relate so quickly with Squall and the struggles he had to endure through his childhood and even in his adulthood by playing through the entire game and finishing. Lastly, to answer the question, what is the best video game I have ever played? I pretty much summed up the best game I've ever played, and those are the games that I have already completed playing or possibly still playing at this time. Those games that can capture my interest along with my observational requirements and the details that I have mentioned in this video are what makes the best video game I've ever played. I hope this video has taught you guys something, and maybe you can find out for yourself what's the best video game you ever played. Okay, just to close, guys, I just want to let you know that this topic I have really seen so many times in YouTube, and I feel like so many people are just dishonest about what they truly feel and what really is the best game for them. I've known bigger YouTubers and I've watched them before, and they have this gigantic, even millions of followers, and I feel like they're being misled by some of the statements that these bigger YouTubers mention. I mean, I'm gonna mention a game, and some of you guys might agree or disagree with me on this, but that would be the Zelda Breath of the Wild. It's such a good game. I understand. It's a great game. I played it. I finished it along with its expansion. But I just really can't find myself to say that it's the best game I've ever played, because it isn't. For me, it's not the best game. And I just feel like people that are watching these bigger YouTubers, and I'm not blaming them for anything. I mean, I'm pretty sure they're doing this because they're either sponsored or in line with these companies, and I understand. I just feel like if you're gonna make a video and you're gonna talk about the best video game, how about you talk about the best video game that you actually really played, and not a game that you just want to kind of, you know, bring out there to let everyone know. Sure, it's okay to tell people about how good this game is and you shouldn't miss out, but to say that this was the very best video game you've ever played, to me it isn't. And I played played through the entire Zelda Breath of the Wild. So if there's anything that I want you guys to know, is that play the games that makes you guys happy and enjoy. And you know, it doesn't matter what other people say about you because of the video games that you play. You're playing it because it gives you enjoyment and happiness. So, you know, if anything else in closing, that's what I wanted to say. I hope you guys understand, and I hope that you guys don't take offense to what I'm saying, and I hope those bigger YouTubers that end up watching this video, I hope you guys don't take any offense in this, but hopefully that you guys kind of understand. I really want to know who you are. I want to know what really is the best game you've ever played. And with that, I hope this video is something you guys can relate to and understand. All right, until next time.